Good evening, I'm Vivian. Welcome to today's Vivian Speaking. 大家好，这里是 Vivian Speaking.
I believe it's the beauty which makes it at all to have so many beautiful art.
你越紧张于表象，你越不会说话啊！你不去想怎么。
Often watch people and their behaviour as though they're chimpanzees.
People come to Beijing and say, "Wow, it's really lovely here," and it is. But I guess I didn't appreciate how.
There are multiple levels of senior living based on.
I believe it's the beauty which makes it at all to have so many beautiful art pieces from.
How do you design a life that truly matters?
It's gonna be better, right?
No, I'd rather have you. You're more beautiful.
Thank you.
Vivian Speaking 空间大师系列节目邀请到深耕餐厅设计领域的空间设计师 Phil Dunn， 深入解读如何打破风格限制，在空间设计中寻找平衡。Phil Dunn 在北京承办约60家餐厅的室内设计，多次参与北京老厂房的翻新工作。他的作品独具特色，将多国设计兼收并蓄，风格看似简约，却将各国特色展示得淋漓尽致。本期节目从一个身居北京14年的美国人对中国的感情谈起，探讨设计师的设计灵感，讲述如何将老厂房翻新，保留历史厚重感又不缺少设计美感，以及对中国设计未来趋势的展望。空间设计为建筑注入新的生命，打破传统与风格的限制，运用色彩等手法为空间注入活力，寻找空间设计的极致平衡。
Hi, this is Vivian speaking, and I'm Vivian. Today, I'm in Taikoo-Li, Beijing, in this Fona restaurant, right? And it's my great honor to have Phil Dunn with me. And he is the designer of this restaurant, and also he's a founder of Now NAO.
Hi, Vivian. Great to be here. Looking forward to this conversation.
Okay, so it's great to have you in my show.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, and I learned that you've been in Beijing for so many years. So how long?
Yeah, this is my 14th year in Beijing.
14 years, 14年.
14年.
Okay, so how do you feel like being here so long?
It's been a great ride, I guess, as you say. Coming straight out of architecture school and starting to work here, and until now, it's been a really a great kind of arc. And when I first arrived till now, to see the city change so dramatically has been really fun to watch and to be a part of. I feel like I've matured and grown up with the city of Beijing.
Okay, nice. And because you're a designer, so sometimes I think maybe you might, see some things differently. So my next question is, what is the iconic thing? I mean, represent of the city? Yeah.
Well, for me, the sort of the most iconic thing about Beijing is the hutongs and the traditional courtyard homes in the center of the city. I got my architecture degree in Boston, and Boston is a city full of red bricks, and to come to Beijing, which is a city full of gray bricks, it was a refreshing change. And then to see the deep history of Beijing was what really attracted me here in the first place.
Okay, actually, it's my first time to heard about the people mentioned the gray brick.
The gray bricks, yeah.
Yeah.
I think at least coming from the U.S., gray brick is not something you see typically, and that was really kind of an interesting first impression of Beijing. Yeah.
Okay, and so let's back to your works, right? I mean, you and your team has already designed 60
I think
restaurants
we've done,
already.
Yes, over 60 restaurants.
Over 60 restaurants
in mainland China. Primarily in the Beijing area, but also in Shanghai and Chengdu and Shenzhen.
Oh, I see. So that's kind of a national things, right?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, that's amazing. When I talk about amazing, I'm not just talk about the numbers, okay, but also the personality of the design. I mean, because each of your works is very different, right? I mean, from others. And you can fit the brand character respectfully right? I think, actually I was thinking about this question. I think one of the reasons is you are not only just focus on you focus on your customers' need, right? But beside that, how come you can, design so differently? I mean, for your each of the work, like this one, Forno, is a kind of a classical Italian style, right? And for the Lux, that is Morocco style,
Moroccan style,
right?
yeah.
And also you design the Japanese and the Korean design style, and the Thailand style. So many kind of style. How come you can do that? Is that because you traveled lots of places around the world?
I think there's a few aspects to that question, but I think the most important thing is first off, being American from sort of the New York area originally, you're exposed to a lot of different cultures already, and then living abroad for 14 years and being someone who loves to travel, I've gotten a chance to really travel a lot internationally, and then when you're interested in something like I'm interested in restaurant design. You're constantly studying. Every time you travel, you're looking at the local design aesthetics and the local styles and history, and you're trying to absorb it. So I think that's travel has been a really important part of it. Exposure as a young person growing up in the New York area was important, and then lastly, is you have the internet, and everybody has the internet, and it's really something you can use to research very specific niches. But I think one of the reasons that we do so many different styles is you want to keep each restaurant being different from the last project you did, and then getting into the identity of what that restaurant is supposed to be, and then working with what the client is looking to create, and so kind of marrying all those things together. Each place is a different style, is a different different direction and design.
Okay, so how about you talk about this, give us some brief introduction of this place.
Okay, well, this Forno, this is the second location we did for them within a 5-month period, I think. There's another location in Sanyunxia. I had worked with this client on their 2 Bottega locations, which are also Italian pizzerias, but Neapolitan pizza. And I had worked with them on a Mexican restaurant and a Japanese restaurant. So our working relationship was one that we would sort of adjust our styles anyway, depending on the new concept they were opening. And so back to Forno, I think what we were trying to do is it's a Roman pizza style, pizza romana, and so it's we tried to kind of grab some of these very classical, almost in-your-face sort of Roman elements, and then combine that with kind of a hip retro dining and vintage retro dining environment, and that was basically where we went with the design for the Sanyuanchao location. And then when we moved over here to Taikuli, we wanted to take it up one more level, and so we added in. Right now it's daytime, but we added in this sort of club lighting effects, a lot of red neons that make the space transition into night even more interestingly, and become quite a unique space at night.
Yeah. So did you design that part by yourself?
Which part are you referring to? The statues or the screen? Yeah, the statues were part of the design concept. They started on the wall with these neon backdrops, and then we decided to go with full body statues and use the height of this space.
So let's back to the Forno.
Sure.
And I want to know that because I want to ask you which restaurant you want to pick, right? And you recommend this one. Okay, so this design is your favorite one?
I'm quite a fan of this design. I think we get passionate about every project when we're involved in it, and right when it's finished, you're always quite happy about it, and then you sort of, Beijing's a busy place, and you're on to the next project, and you finish the next one, and maybe that's your favorite one for that period of time. So. I think there are projects that stand out amongst the others, and this is one that I've been quite happy with the result in.
Okay. Do you have any expectation for your next project? Like, I think you must be very busy. maybe you don't have time to think about that. But do you have, some moments, okay, to think about what you're gonna have next, or anything you want to do, okay? Not only just based on your customers, their needs.
I think one style that that's always been close to my heart is this kind of like American diner style, and
American diner style.
Diner style.
Okay.
Sort of from the old railroad cars that were transitioned into small diners, and you have a lot of kind of stainless steel and leather furniture. And interesting tile patterns, and those are things that I grew up going to a lot of diners, and so I always kind of want to try and find ways to incorporate those styles into projects when it fits. So I think that's something that's always been with me, and when I get an opportunity, I like to try and slide in that kind of 1950s modern, 50s, 60s mod style.
Wow, that's very interesting. David is the owner of a Forno, right? And we've just been talking that actually this is not your first project that you cooperate with Phil, right?
No, it's our 6th project with Phil.
Oh, sixth.
6th, yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
we have 4 restaurant brands in Beijing and 6 locations.
Okay. So how do you feel of this design? And if you work with one designer, maybe somebody want to cooperate with a different one because they want, something different, right? So why you constantly to work with one person?
I think we just have really good communication. Phil understands what we're looking for. We can push Phil really hard, and he's able to come up with different ideas for every project. Also, we have very strong ideas on what we want to do, so we already do a lot of research on every project that we do, and then Phil does his own research as well, and then we kind of collaborate together so that every time we end up working together, it's always something different, because we're always challenging each other to try and do something completely different than we did before, and we basically want the project to be unique. So we want something that you can't really see in Beijing. So for example, the tiles on the tables, these are customized tiles. We had a graphic design company design those tiles, and then we put them into the tables, we put them into the walls. They're in our menu, they're in our visual identity. This was done by an artist who's based in Spain. He's a mural artist. He was stuck in Spain during the coronavirus, and he designed this at home.
Oh.
So we try to do something like kind of different on every project we do to make it kind of stand out and make it unique.
Make it unique. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you want to, say something more about this Forno?
I'm sure Phil's already given a really good introduction.
Yeah.
But I guess the whole idea behind Forno was we are trying to bring the first authentic Roman style pizza to China. So
authentic Roman
authentic
pizza.
Roman pizza, and actually it's called pizza al taglio, which means Roman pan pizza, and it's served by the slice. And just like when we opened Bottega back in 2014, it was hard to find authentic Neapolitan style pizza.
Okay.
And now in China, you can't find anyone doing this kind of pizza in an authentic way like Forno's doing. So the whole idea was to try to do authentic Roman food, and then Roman pizza, and then Roman food. So we wanted the whole space to kind of be like a celebration of Rome, but we wanted to combine all this Roman classical antiquity, like statues and Roman numerals and street signs, and then kind of combine that with a modern design. So that's why you see the murals, you see the Italian style tiles, and you see the quotes on the wall. You have a lot of old elements of Rome, but then modern elements as well combined together. So that's kind of what we wanted to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Phil, the restaurant you have been designed like a Copper, that's an event place, right? And Jing A, right? And another exhibition place in 798.
Yes.
Okay, those restaurants has something in common that you know it's been rebuilt or been redesigned from an old factory.
Yes.
I mean, they originally old factory. So actually, you know, those kind of you know old buildings are my favorites because they have something with this city. Okay. So how do you feel the first time you went to the old building?
For me, it's great. It's really refreshing when you can walk into a beautiful old factory and you get to see you know 7-8 meter high ceilings and great structures. You know, I like to say it has a great skeleton or good bones. You know, one of the natures of this business is when you have clients that you work with on multiple projects. Sometimes it doesn't matter what space they get, you're gonna do that project for them and do the best you can to make that a beautiful space. But when you have the opportunity to walk into a really great space like an old factory structure, you know, for me that I get this feeling inside that's like I have to get this project. You know, and I remember the first time I saw Copper. You know, that was a really a great space. I remember walking in there and just thinking like I have to get this project. I have to get this project.
Yeah.
You know, and then I think one of the things that you have to do when you have a great space is you have to sort of take your designer ego and kind of put it aside and think more about how can I expose this space for what it already is. You know, how do I expose the existing concrete or brick structure? How do I light it differently? How do I create places in the space where the visitor can see it from a new angle that maybe you couldn't see it from before? And I think those are some of the interesting things you can do with a great space. You don't have to make some huge installation in it that distracts from it. I think if you can just bring people's attention to the fact that they're in a beautiful 1980s East German built Bauhaus building in 798, or they're in this amazing factory space in the middle of the hutongs that like Copper is, or Jing'e. When you walk into that kind of large volume of a space, it's really a refreshing feeling.
Okay, so you said that you have actually the link from that building the first time you enter in, right? Actually, I felt like you gave them a new life, right? Have you ever thought about that way?
I think that you add life back into them, or you expose what's already there that maybe has been hidden. I think when we first walked into the Copper space, it had a whole ceiling suspended in the entire space, and so when we ripped out that ceiling, all of a sudden there's this beautiful wood ceiling, and you have this pitch roof, and the space then feels so much more beautiful, more alive than it did before we started. So, like I said, I think sometimes it's just about seeing the potential and then exposing that.
Okay, okay. And let's talk about the color, okay? And I tell you a little story about me, okay? First, actually, the first guest, Vivian Speaking, he's American as well, but he's a black guy. And he's very good at, mixed color on him. He has a 6 tailor in Tianjin,
Okay.
So it's very interesting. But every time he showed up, just like a movie star, and I just asked him, okay, how come you can, mix the colors so well on you? And he said, Vivian, I'm not wearing clothes, I'm wearing confidence.
I see.
Yeah, so I think that's a typical American, right? Personality, I mean. So my question is, I think you are very good at colors, mix color together in one restaurant, or, each restaurant, they have their, kind of a typical color, So what about you? Okay, so do you design confidence?
I'm glad I give you the impression that I'm good with color. For me, I'd say it's not something I'm that confident about. I most of my clothes are gray and black, but I think I approach color the same way I approach materials, in that like the the texture of a material or the subtleties of a shade of color are really important. And when you look at the space, you have to kind of balance the overall composition of everything, whether it's the texture of this material with the texture of that material, or this color with its vibrance and that color with its subtleties. So I think it's about understanding the overall space and being very sensitive to what the power that material or that color has in the space. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So my last question is, I wonder, because you've been living here for so long, 14 years. So have you got any chance to go to the kind of a model apartment or model house in Beijing?
Yeah, I have. I do primarily food and beverage projects now, but originally when I was first starting out, I did do quite a bit of residential design, and I remember going to a lot of residential sample houses. I think first of all, the overall concept of a sample house is quite interesting because a lot of people have dreams about what they want their home to be, but they don't necessarily know how to make that happen or how to express that. And I think that sample homes give those people a chance to see what their home could be and help them imagine how to realize it. For me, I think doing restaurant designs, we do a lot of we create a certain messiness to the spaces, and I think that's something that it makes people feel more comfortable in a dining environment. But when it comes to sort of residential design, I really like more of a clean space, and I like a lot what's happening with the trends that go towards more sort of Scandinavian or East Asian combinations of more minimal design, but then where you have some comforts of living added into that sort of minimal design. So for me, that's when it comes to residential design, I prefer that sort of style.
Okay, I see. So I hope your next restaurant will be in Tianjin. Okay.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Okay, Phil. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Vivian.
Okay.
Great.